Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine. The time to say yes to your dreams and aspirations is here.
Tonight's encounter promises to be incredible. One of Nigeria's best and brightest, Bashiru Dele Momodu, will be our guest tonight. He's the publisher for Vision International Magazine, Africa's Halo magazine. From Edo State, a father of four, happily married to the ever delectable Chief Mrs. Balaji Momodu. They're blessed with 4 gorgeous sons. Bashiru Dele Momodu read Yoruba for his first degree, and for his master's he read literature in English. This was at the Bafemi Awolowo University. Currently he's 60 years old. He's been into journalism nearly all his life, although he started out as a teacher. At some point he worked in a bookshop. At some point he also worked in a motel owned by the late Ooni of Ife Obokwade Shijuade before finally settling for journalism. His journalism career has seen him traversing media houses like African Concord, Saturday Concord, Climax, Fame, where he was a contributor, and finally Vision, the feel good, all gloss, all celebrational, celebratory magazine. Vision is actually Africa's response to Halo. Wow, my friend and my brother Rafat, it's so nice to see you join us again this evening, all the way from the United States of America. Thanks so much. It's always a delight, knowing that you're there for us, watching our back, and following up on what we're doing. Thanks so much. We're hoping that any moment from now, Bashiru Dele Momodu will be joining us.
I'm so happy to. I'm fine, thank you, sir. I'm so happy to have you, sir.
Anything now. Just call me. I won't call away.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, Bobzo, I want to shoot without wasting time. All right. My first question is, why is it important for a journalist to reinvent himself?
Well, it's not just any professional, who is serious by his career, and wants to on that career, continue to invent himself or herself.
Wow. Well, so it cuts across.
It's every profession. It's not just journalism. But because the mortality rate, you have to consider and you have to the fact that we're the poorest professionals, especially journalists are poorest. Journalists hardly get salaries. They don't get good salaries even when they get it. That's when they get it. They don't get paid.
Wow.
So But we have so much influence, and this influence tends to deceive us that we are very important. Journalists are also poor business-minded people. They don't see journalism as business. They see journalism as charity. And the readers and the viewers see journalists and as the lambs of God who takes away the sins of the earth. So what they do is, you people, you spoiled Nigeria, you spoiled Nigeria. You don't tell government the truth when they arrest you. So that when the publication you see, he was doing Shakara, he was doing Akona. Innovation. I said, what did you expect? I don't have any other means of. I don't do government contract, don't do government anything. All I do is ovation. Anything that I do must have the touch of ovation. And so what I've done when you talk about reinvention is to me that I study my environment. Okay, what is in vogue at this time? To find me there. Okay, I came to, so I need to tell you a bit about my trajectory. I came to Lagos joblessness in 1988. I wanted to be a teacher. But even that one eluded me. I couldn't get a teaching appointment because there was an embargo by the military government on appointments and promotions in the universities or in the colleges of education. I went, I traversed everywhere, I couldn't find a job. And I just finished my master's degree in 1988. So my best friend, Prince Adedamola Aderemi, then suggested to me that this one that you can't find a job, so why don't you start writing? Writing for the Guardian newspaper. Guardian was the most prestigious newspaper. It's still one of the most prestigious in Nigeria. And indeed, I remember the day my name appeared on the pages of the Guardian. You would think I was on the moon. You know, for them, and they were paying me 25 naira per article. That's never worry about immediate cash. Wow. They don't worry too much about immediate cash. You see, you have to do it in stages. There must be preparation. There must be readiness. Then, and when there is victory, there will be glory. It's a process. Wow. I was writing for the Guardian 25. Wait until I've finished 4. I travel from Ilefe to Luton House in Lagos to come and it was that poor. Wow. Okay? I can tell you that I have skipped my highest level of poverty. Okay? This one I'm talking about when poverty had even improved a bit. So I'll come to Lagos, collect 100 naira, squat with a friend if I needed to sleep, and go back to my base in Ife. Wow. I was writing for the Sunday Tribune, edited at that time by Mr. Fudo Lamiti. And they were not paying me. Tribune couldn't even afford to pay me. I never complained. They guaranteed my name was on the pages of the Tribune. So what I was doing was my preparation. Wow. I was my seeds. And then the seeds began to germinate. And then they began to blossom. And then it was time. Wow. By the time I came in April 1988 to Lagos, I was desperately in search of a job. My mom was a stark illiterate. My father had died when I was 13 in 1973, and I was left with this poor. So she had done everything humanly possible to send me to school, to take care of me. I'm the last born of my mom and the only product of my mom for my dad. So she did everything. So I was becoming an embarrassment that after all she did, I still could not find it. It got so bad that my mom had to ask. And you know, uneducated people tend to be superstitious. Sometimes because she was prayer warrior, she began to say, hey, I hope that this thing, I don't know how to translate it well, but I thought that this thing there is no more than meet the eye. So I came, but because I had been writing those articles, so I was already a familiar name in the newsrooms.
Mm.
So the port of call, I was invited by my friend of blessed memory, Onukaba Adinoyojo. He told me to come to, and then he introduced me to Unuka Irabo editing the African Guardian magazine. That was my dream because I was a scholar, fresh,
Wow.
a master's degree in Ife. So I went there. His story, there was no vacancy. You can imagine my disappointment. You know, quite on that occasion, Onukaba then took me to the Concord newspapers and listened to this story. I was reluctant. Why? Because I had a bias against Chief Abiola. All the stories I read about him were negative.
Wow.
Oh, he's a mentalist. Oh, he's a millionaire fanatic. Oh, he's this, he's that. The same Abiola that later became my father. I don't know what informs my mindset when I do certain things. It's based on personal experience. That don't judge people unfairly. Don't judge anyone without listening to their stories. Because it is because we don't hold a general meeting, annual general meeting of suffrage. That's why we don't know who is the president of the suffrage. That because you are different, you must be very comfortable. Therefore, you must have money. Anyway, I got to Concord newspaper, met with Mr. Louis Bibi. I cannot believe this story. Immediately, I was introduced to him. He looked at me. You are the Dele Momodu. I said, yes.
Wow.
You mean you are not more than this? I said, I am Dele Momodu, sir. He said, so what can I do for you? In trepidation, I said, I need a job, sir. You need a job? How can you need a job? With the way you write, you know, you are too good to be a job. He gave me a job on the spot. I've never been nobody. You will not believe it. That was my first full-time job as a journalist.
Wow.
Anyway, I had to beg him. He now asked me, so how much salary do you want? Imagine a bushman coming from Ife. Somebody is asking you how much salary. I was calculating with Ife. If I can get 700 naira a month, I'll be is that a total package? Or I didn't know what was a total package. He said, okay, don't worry. That's 8,400 a year. Okay, I would put it at 9,000. That was how I got my.
Wow, what an inspiring story.
To let me go back to Ife because I was not prepared. So, that was the beginning. And because of my background of suffering, I had to work harder than an average. I had to put it in my brain. I had to remind myself regularly about what brought me to Lagos. I had no plan of coming to Lagos. So when I started in Concord, Chief Abiola had about 8 different publications at the time. Okay, initially about 7. Then the following year, 8 publications. You will not believe it. I was writing permanently for the African Concord, and I was writing periodically for the National Concord, for the Sunday Concord, for Business Concord, whenever I had a business. So I was being paid for only one job, but I was working for 5 different titles. So you know, my employers noticed that there was this guy who was working like crazy. So they started checking me out. Fortunately, I resumed May 1988. By January of 1989, I got a call from my editor, Louis Obi. He said, Dele, I said, sir. He said, it seems you are being transferred from here. I said, to where? He said, there is a new publication called Weekend Concord. And the he has requested that we must move you there. I said, why me? You know, you can imagine a scholar hearing Weekend Concord. My idea of weekend paper was Daily Times in those days, Lagos Weekend.
Palatial stories.
Hey, I didn't know that's where God was waiting for me.
Wow.
See, God wants to liberate you, but you are busy fighting. You are busy fighting. So in life, I believe that's why I'm an incurable fatalist, that the destiny of man will be fulfilled if you don't resist what God has planned for you too much. Sometimes people get too stubborn. And then, so I had no choice. I moved to Weekend Concord, headed by Mr. Mike Awoyinfa. He was the editor. The deputy editor was Mr. Dingba Igwe, also of blessed memory. God bless his soul. These guys were too nice to me. So I joined them in February, but we launched the paper in the maiden cover of Weekend Concord was written by me.
Wow.
If I was a woman, even why would I have been jealous? Where I was between you and this cover after cover, scoops after scoops, exclusives after exclusives. I was just churning out the hottest stories.
Wow.
And about preparation, it came from the fact that I had done this and that before Lagos. I had amassed many distinguished personalities that I had met in the course of doing my job, even as a student, because I studied Yoruba first and then English literature for masters. I used to do translations for politicians just for me to work in Ife.
Very.
I started doing stories after stories. You will not believe it. We started the paper in March. By March, by April, May, I earned a double promotion.
Wow.
I was supposed to go to senior staff writer, but my boss said, no, you are way ahead of that level, and moved me to literary editor.
Wow.
You will not believe it.
Wow.
Exactly 1 year after I landed in Lagos.
Wow.
Okay? Months after, in November, my editor called me again, said, Dele, you are due for another promotion. I'm like, just promoted me 6 months ago, so leave that. He said, now you are going to be out. So that was how I became number 3 in the hierarchy.
Wow.
Then 6 months after, shortly before 6 months after, I got an invitation by Marilyn Ezekiel, also of blessed memory, who was married to Richard Mofedamijo, and said, look, our magazine needs someone like you. We've watched, your adventures at Concord, and we want you to join the paper. And then made an offer.
An offer you couldn't resist.
Lagos, I became the highest paid editor in the whole of Nigeria.
I remember the story back then.
I was scared. Hey, what if I get there and they can't pay? Like every normal Monday. Then I went to see my my MD, Dr. Doyin Abiola, that, mommy, it seems I'm moving. He said, oh, is it about money? I said, no, it's not just about money. It's just that I've reached my too quickly at the weekend. Unless I would even leave that way, there is no way I can. And then I said I also wanted new challenges. That I believe I've been able to demonstrate my capacity at Weekend Concord. And she gave me a blessing. But I couldn't tell Chief Abiola, I'm getting proud to that, but I couldn't tell him, God, I knew he would have put pressure on me and I would not be able to go. So that was how I left Concord. My boss, if he's watching, because I know every night he watches, I want to thank him once again. He personally drove me to my new job.
Wow.
That's we were. He told me, he said, this offer, he said, please take it.
Wow.
That is blessing.
Wow.
It would have been impossible for me to take that job.
Wow.
So I took the job, and again, I asked my boss to give me just 2 weeks. I talked a lot about preparation. I didn't just go there and say, no, I'm a damn good journalist. Yeah, let me go and resume. I asked them for 2 weeks. And I said, please let me just take a break. During that break, what I was doing, I wasn't resting, I wasn't sleeping. And so I'm passionate about it. If I'm involved in it, so that I will put everything.
Yeah.
And that's cover stories.
Wow.
Before
A stretch.
I depend on any reporter. You know, you can get there and every organization has its own politics.
Yeah.
So I don't get enmeshed in any policy. So I prepared for 6 good covers. That will give weeks. It was a weekly paper, magazine. It means that in the next 6 weeks, even if new stories don't come in, I already had my cover stories.
Wow. Planning ahead.
Planning ahead. So that was how I joined Classic. Things were going fine. Of course, somewhere along the line, because you are the editor now, whatever happens there, you carry the blame. You will step on toes. I was arrested once and took to where coup plotters were in 1990. That's another story, but I don't think you can finish. We're already 23 minutes now. I was there until for 16 months. Then I don't know what happened. One day I was in England, and Nduka Bagbena had sent 2 of us to go and work on a book for him in London. And about 3 days before leaving London, I ran into Chief MKO Abiola. And my life totally changed from there. When I got back to Nigeria, I think anyone would have noticed the transfiguration of Dele Momodu, just like the transfiguration of and I thought, hey, what's this guy up to? Then, foolish me, you know, when you have a little money in your pocket, it must push you. So that I want to get it and I want to go to London and Spain for shopping. And then I traveled, and the day I traveled, I was removed as editor. I don't know what happened. And nobody told me. So I got back to Nigeria. Oba Dokunabola, now the king of Okela Orogun, was the one who came to pick me at the airport. He was not yet a king then. And he told me, Dele, congratulations. I said, congratulations over what? He said, you are now managing editor of Classic. I said, me? Managing? I said, no, they've promoted me into redundancy. When you are young, it's a risk. So I thought I was crazy. They took my official car, they took my official driver, I didn't mind. And the next thing, I knew people would be asking me, so what are you doing now? And you will have to be explaining. I was not ready to explain to anybody. I just went straight to Wonder Bakery, Chief Abiola's bread. I started selling bread. Newspaper headlines, editor turns bread seller. There is dignity in labor. That's what I agree. But see how God works. If I did not humble myself to become a bread seller, the next thing would not have happened. I didn't have a car. I was using my foot wagon. So one day I went to the bakery, then I saw a second-hand Jetta outside, blue. And I saw for sale. So I asked the bakery manager. Now, I think now she belonged, she was Chichi Juluchuku at the time. She's MC Kia Juluchuku's daughter.
Wow.
So I asked her, I said, please, I saw a car outside for sale. I don't have a car again. They've taken my official car. I would like to buy it. How much? He said 25,000 naira. I said, no, 25,000 is too much. Can you give it to me at 20,000? I said, she's not the owner, but she will talk to Kola Abiola, and Kola is very close to the owner. You won't believe what happened next. Kola invited me to his house. He was living in Anthony Village. And when I got there, I said, Bob Dimbo, you like the Jetta? But I don't have a choice. I just need a car right now. I said, if you can talk to your friend to reduce 5,000. He said, no problem. They take his phone and call his friend, one Alaji. And he said, really likes your car, wants to pick it up, give it to you. That was how he one dime.
Wow. Wow.
So you must continue to do what some people might be easy, but it is very possible that is what your destiny prepared for you.
Wow.
Just wrote it there, God's timing. Yeah, that has always been my life.
Wow.
God is about to break the barriers and create a new road for me.
Wow.
I decided, what's the next thing I'm going to do? The first dream of a journalist is a journalist wants to do paper. I don't know what is wrong with us. So every who has ever lost his job, who will never think of how he can build a different empire. It's always about paper. So I said, I'm going to do a magazine, and then I sat down with my friends, Kunle Bakar, and then we came up with the name Ovation. Then I went to a very big Nigerian who likes me till today. If you are looking for an angel from heaven, God sent this spirit down to me.
The spirit of Africa.
When I came and bid to help, then one day we sat down in his office and he asked me, so what is the ownership going to be like? And I said, well, you are going to be our chairman, sir. MD. But after, like Mr. Kayo Kala, who was the editor at Hints magazine, and Mr. Dr. Olukoya, who was the director of production at Hints. My idea was to have a combination of Weekend Concord, Fame magazine, Hints magazine, romance plus lifestyle. Perfect blend. Then my angel looked at me. He said, he said, policy. He said, from my experience, I don't do business with people because I don't want trouble. You will fight. He said, you, I know very well. You and I, we are not going to fight. He said, but all those people you are mentioning, I don't know them, and I'm not ready to do business with them. I thought it was. Then I looked at my potential chairman, and I said, sir, but I gave my word to those guys. I can't go back on my words. And he stretched out, his hands and said, have a nice day. That was the end of my dream.
Wow. Wow.
You will not believe. When I give my words, I can be crazy. When I give my word, but I promised those two people, I couldn't imagine doing it without them.
Without them.
Then I moved to Kola Abiola. I gave my business plan to him. He liked it. And then he said, yes, Billy, I love this. This looks very good. It will work. It will fly. But once I hear but, I land down from my old father. Dele Momodu's duty is jovial, he's intelligent, but once he puts bets, he has destroyed everything. How does he it? So he looked at me. He said, you know the problem? My father is a publisher. Probably the biggest in sub-Saharan Africa. If I invest in a publication, don't forget I come from a polygamous family. I go and tell the Kola is trying to compete with you. I will never forget. That's
wow. Serious wisdom.
I'm sorry, I won't be able to invest.
Wow.
And that was the end of my dream.
For the
He
second
could
time.
the devastation on my face.
Hmm.
Like his father, he could feel it that this is the end of the road for this man.
Wow.
He then looked at me. He said, Dele,
Hmm.
is this what we can do together?
Hmm.
He said, what, please? He said, like PR, public relations. Oh, I said, I'm a born publicist. That's part of the deal. You must be able to
Yeah,
tell yourself.
that's
This
true.
another window of opportunity. So I quickly sold myself. I said, what sort of publicity do you need? He said, oh, our company, Summit Oil International,
I know.
and we were going to give the PR. He mentioned the company, mentioned it. It's a very big company. That, he said, we're going to give it to them, or something tells me I should give it to you. But please, please don't let me down.
Down. Wow.
Even before having a company, I got my first account.
Wow.
Very juicy account.
Wow. Celebrity goodwill.
Celebrities Goodwill, you remember?
I remember.
That was how I started PR.
Wow.
Fine. We went all out. It was a blistering public relations campaign. And by the time I came back to him, he asked how much I wanted. I told him. He said, well, as a matter of policy, he would have to cut some of it off. But by the time we finished the job and he was ready to pay, I went to his office. You won't believe what happened. He said the bill I gave him, he said he's so impressed, he's going to pay it in full.
Wow.
Collar not only paid in full, he now brought out his own personal check. And said, this is from me to you.
Wow.
It's not a common life.
Wow.
Not a common life. And
Wow.
it's about your ability to humble yourself, to readjust to situations when you think all down and out. Be prepared for the next journey.
Wow.
So the question you asked, that is the genesis. That's where it came from. It's from that background. That
Okay.
anytime you think things are not going well, things are rough. And then, of course, the next thing after that, Unduka Babina invited me and said he was starting a new paper. His first paper had died this week. He was publishing this week from Ogulano Drive in Surulere. So he now to do a new publication. He registered a company called Leaders and Company, which is today the parent company of Disney newspapers. And he invited me. We struck a deal, and I became the first editor, the pioneer editor. I didn't know I would ever go back to journalism. And he empowered me to recruit most of the founding members of that publication.
Wow.
Okuba, George Woolford, Augustine Sam, all of them, I brought them. They were working with me before. That was how I emptied them into Unduka's. This was December 1992.
Wow.
A few days to my wedding on December 19.
Wow.
Then, of course, for the launch of the paper. And end of January 93, something happened. Changed my life again, and Chief Abiola suddenly had his presidential ambition. Naturally, as an adopted father, by then we had become so close. So I had to go on sabbatical from Leaders and Company. I told Nduka, and Nduka said no problem. Even the official car he gave me, that's why me and Nduka were forever. Our love, the car he bought for me, he allowed me to use it to go and campaign for MKO. Meanwhile, he was in the MKO was in SDP, Nduka was in NRC. Nduka was Pitofa. I was campaigning for Moshood Abiola.
Wow. What a large heart.
that's the thing that people cannot understand about relationships. Your ability to build and sustain relationship is also part of that reinvention. Because a lot of people, they build bridges everywhere they've walked, they can never go back there. Yes. So someone just mentioned let it die. Yes, let it die. For me, you see, people remember things. The story of how many years ago, 1991. That would be
Wow. That's correct.
That was how I joined Abiola. Election June 12th came. Abiola, on June 12th, I was not in Nigeria. Chief had sent me to Vienna in Austria to represent him at the Bruno Kreisky Award, which Gani Awayemi was receiving. I left Nigeria on the 9th of June, got to Vienna on the 10th. The award was on the 10th. I left London on the 12th. The day of the election was the day, but there was no way I could get to Nigeria. So I missed the election. I went to London. On Sunday, June 13th, I phoned and the Concord people told me that, oh, I shouldn't worry, Chairman was coasting home to victory. That they were just waiting for the official results to come.
To be announced.
Then on the 14th, Monday of June, in Nigeria. In those days, we didn't have telephones like now, you know. So Uluka said, I'll be looking for you. Where are you? I said, I'm in London. Then he said, please, you must try and reach your man, Abiola, urgently. It's the election, but they are not going to give him power.
Wow.
I told him it was impossible. Maybe I should have
listened to him.
So said the same thing to Dr. Doyin Abiola, and she confirmed it, that Nduka actually told her this. Maybe, perhaps, if Abiola had reached out to Babangida, I don't know, maybe things
would have turned out differently.
What I know for a fact now is that at that stage, there were people on Babangida's neck telling him, you cannot hand over to this man. And you know what? The more powerful you are, the more powerful your enemies.
That's true.
The more powerful you are. Okay, I can see. You see, definitely, that was what happened. So Chief Gani flew in from Austria that day, on that Monday, 14th. So I called him. He was staying in his house in Croydon. And I told him that, Chief, this is what I had picked up from Nduka. I said, no. Chief also dismissed that. Nobody could imagine we organize such a beautiful election. No crisis.
Oh, yeah.
Everything went smoothly. But I remember something. The night I was leaving Nigeria, that night, that was the day they launched a book on Abiola. Dr. Yemi Ogunbiyi and Professor Chidi Amuta. You know, they were our lecturers in Ife in those days. So after lunch, I went to Chief Abiola's house. He had a letter to send to Gani, a letter of congratulations. Unusually, Chief Abiola's house was empty.
Wow.
So when he wanted to give me the letter and the money to go with, he took me into the bedroom. There was only one man in his living room. Never seen that kind of thing. He had emptied everywhere deliberately. So he said, look at the man. He said he's an agent. I'm sure they've sent him to come and check my mood. So he asked me, Chief, how is it going? I said, I'm going to lose the election. There's no way I can win this election, because they were planning to stop the election. But because they felt it would not be able to win, that's why the election was allowed to go ahead.
Wow.
So they had to kill the results. Yeah, it was a grand conspiracy, and it was a military.
Wow.
I think President Babangida will be able to tell the full story.
Unfortunately, he has refused to talk about it.
Alan. Anyway, I left London on Wednesday, so that will now be the 16th of June with Chief Awayemi. In those days, we used to go through Gatwick Airport. So it was at Gatwick that we got the message that there was crisis in Nigeria, they've announced that they should not continue the elections and all that. And of course, Chief got in touch with Bekor and some Kuti, Femi Falan, and all of them. So they were waiting for us by the time we got back to Nigeria. That was the beginning of the trouble. Of course, I threw my full weight into it. I'm a risk taker. People ask me, why are you getting involved? If people who don't have principle will always discourage those who have principle.
Wow, that's another good lesson.
Yes. So, of course, by the end of July, I was the first person they arrested. So the security guys, I didn't know. Chief Abiola asked me to come to the house in the afternoon at about 2 o'clock, and I didn't leave until 4 a.m. That was the night Mayor Akinpelu had his bachelorship. I will never forget, at La Campagne Tropicana in Adini Jones. So Chief only saw me after everybody had left.
Wow.
He gave me some documents to Tell magazine. So, and then when I was going, he saw me off. And when we got to the stairs, he pulled my ear. Said, Daily One. Daily One. I am very sorry for keeping you waiting. Holding a lot of very powerful meetings. Oh, don't worry, I'm the commander. Left, and I went towards Akonjo, where Kukola Ilori was. He's one of the directors of Tell magazine. Unknown to her, before then, I quickly went to La Campagne Tropicana. I wanted to see if I could still meet Mayor Akinpelu, who was having his bachelor's.
Yeah.
He wasn't. I had just finished when I got there. But I was in the mood because I've been sitting down in one place all night in Chief Abiola's house. Then I went to Water Parks on Tony Street, where Shina Peters was also performing. I got there, they had just finished. Then I went to Night Shift Coliseum.
Night Shift.
Night Shift, then our man, Ken Oluwase.
Yeah.
Then that was how he said that we must have breakfast. So it was a day of environmental. Of course, as journalists, we were able to drive. So from there, I now went to Uncle Kola Ilori's house. Unknown to me, danger was waiting.
Okay.
So I got to Uncle Kola's place. He came out to see me. I handed the documents from Chief to him. He said I shouldn't worry, they will take care of it. Then I drove home. I was living in Adibuja, in Ojodu at the time.
I remember.
I got home and then just dived into bed because I was knackered. Then my wife rushed in suddenly. Said, as soon as you came in, some people have been banging on the door. I said, who are they? Saying she doesn't know. And as the man of the house, what will I do? We didn't have any kid at that time. So I went to the door and I asked who is there. And he's from police headquarters. I said, from police headquarters, what can I do for you? He said, my boss would like to see you. I said, who is your boss? He said, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Ganiyu Daudu. I said, okay, let him come. Now, why are you going to open for them? I said, the man is threatening to break down our door. So I brought them. So they came in. To cut a long story short, they said, so I said, I want to go and park and freshen up that, you know, I've been away all night. They said, oh, we know, we've been with you all night. I've been following you everywhere you went.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
You know, but don't worry, you will come back soon. I said, no, from experience. You must always be prepared. When security tell you are coming back now, you might go for years.
That's another lesson.
Always prepare. So once you cause trouble now, get ready. I packed my bag, I followed them. I knew there was nothing. I'm not a danger to anybody, to any government. So anyway, you won't believe it. I ended up sleeping in Alagbon. And that's why I was kept. And people will come to me, what's your own? And Abiola, you should leave the man alone. They've said the only way they will release you is if you can abandon
Abiola.
I said I couldn't guarantee that.
Hmm.
Anyway, that was, I didn't know that was just a baptism of fire. So we continued. Around that time, Chief Abiola himself took off. That was when he escaped with his plane and traveled abroad. And then I managed to reach him and I spoke to him and I was begging him that he shouldn't come back. He said, no, he can't run away from Nigeria. And anyway, because we don't have time, we've almost spent all now. So by the following year, okay, don't let me skip the Shonekan thing. So Babangida was still struggling. Then he handed over hurriedly. We started Shonekan again. Then over. And when Abacha took over, I think that was November. That would have been it must have been us going into hiding. He had idea the offering, so he had gone into hiding. Then on Saturday, he was in the house in Ikeja. And he had a meeting with a couple of his very close friends, Alaji Teni Olukoya, Professor Femi Agbalajobi, Alaji Shukwadetono. And then, yes, Miss Yabo Ababa. Just a few people were there in the study, and I was there sitting down quietly listening to them. And at a point, he said they must fight Abacha. And his friends were advising him, okay, cool temper now. You fought Babangida, you left. You fought Shonekan, and now you want to fight Abacha. And he said, but the man has stolen my mandate. If fairly enraged, then they said, no, let's see if you can do a deal with Abacha. You know, in this kind of situation, you will get all kinds of people advising you.
I see here and there.
That Abacha was a pro-democracy soldier, judging by the speeches he had made. Abacha was very, very skillful. He had prepared the ground. Very strategic. He had prepared the ground long before that day. And so, yes. So, they now told Chief that he go and read his speeches. So Chief now sent me that night that I should go and collect the speeches of
all the speeches.
In those days, we didn't have Google like now. So I had to go to Tell Magazine Library on Acme Road. So I went there, I gathered everything I could, I made a photocopy, and on Sunday morning, I brought the papers to him. He was having breakfast in Dr. Abiola's apartment. So he said I should go and wait for him upstairs. So I waited. When he came, he took me into his bedroom. I said, yes, I've come with the papers. He said, are you sure events have not overtaken us? Have you not heard? I said, no, sir. What is that? He said, Baba is leaving us. So I said, which Baba? He said, Baba Gana Kingibe. I said, leaving us to where? He said, he's joining the Abacha government.
Wow.
I said, I'm sure that must be a rumor, sir. You know, big people also, people come to tell
the network, yeah.
It's confirmed. He said, you haven't heard that Ebino 2 is going? I said, which Ebino? He said, Ebino Top. What is going? That was how, slowly but steadily,
the decimation began.
Decimating us, removing us. Then in the evening, he called a general meeting in his house, Abubakarimi, Kingibe, everybody. It was such a riotous meeting. And everybody, one after the other, was saying, no, we must join the government. If we don't join them, the Yaradua group will take over. You know, all these opportunistic excuses. And it was only a few of us that, I couldn't talk. I was a young man, and I wasn't a politician per se. I was just a media person, you know. So people like Tokumbo Afikuyomi, there was Chief Raf, I think Raf Obioa, and yes, who was the other one? About 3 people. I think Bobo in Wosisi. I think about 3 of them who said, no, we can't do this, but everybody said they must go. And they advised him to go and see Abacha and talk to him. And that was the meeting he went to the following day with Chief Bola Tinubu. You would have seen that picture. Abacha,
the photograph, yes. The three of them, yes.
For me behind them. So that was the beginning of the trouble.
Wow.
The government people, they won't budge. They refused, and eventually in 1994, Chief Abiola himself was arrested and locked up. So, and that was the beginning of another struggle for us. Then by 1995, they still had not released him. One day I was coming from Chief Shegun Oshoba in Abeokuta. I was on my way home. Then I met my wife, who said I couldn't go home. I said, why? He said some people had come to tip her off that they were going to arrest me. I said, what have I done again? He said I was one of the great pirate radio station called Radio Freedom. It later became Radio Kudirat. And I said, well, but I don't know anything. But I said, well, they have told her that I must disappear. And from that moment till today, that I never went home again.
You took off.
I had to go into hiding. Again, you must, whatever destiny has thrown at you, I accepted it with equanimity. This was 22nd July 1995. So I protected my, and this spirit again came to my rescue, prepared me for the journey, gave me the money. I left Nigeria on the 25th of August. I had to go through the bush at the Seme border, from Seme to Cotonou, from Cotonou to Lomé, through Aflao, and that was my first day in Ghana. So I spent in Ghana, and I left. My friends, Bengalu, all of them, they had prepared ready for me in London, and so I got to London on the 29th of July, and that was the beginning of a new life for me.
Wow. But though, I want to say something. Yes, I want to say something. We have just taken one question, and this is supposed to be for 1 hour. For 1 hour, you're going to give me. I'm going to extract another date from you. You're going to give me another date. But now, I have too many questions that I have penciled down that I wanted you to take. We have just taken a little. But, what is currently happening now? One story that is moving around is your issue with the Buhari Media Organization. I would like you to respond to that briefly in 5 minutes so that we wrap up and we reschedule. You give us another day. Yes, but let's take that one because it is very, very hot. What is your issue with the Buhari Media Organization?
Yes, about 5 years ago, I was in London, and suddenly the news was all over the place that the most wanted woman in Nigeria, they had declared that this personal non grata, whatever.
Alice Madueke, right?
Instead. So immediately, as a reporter, I started thinking, how do I get to interview her? When she was in government, I didn't really know. I'd met her once at Aliko Dangote's event at Hilton Hotel. So I started reporting here and there. And
wow. We have just 17 seconds to go. Wow. But we have to do this today. You have just 10 seconds to go. Oh my.
And then everybody's